Estamos live. Boa noite, galera. Boa noite, São Paulo. Boa noite, Brasil. Estamos diretamente de São Paulo. Eu, Marcelo e Vanessa, comunidade AWS São Paulo. Tá todo mundo assistindo a gente aí? Já tem a Sofia Go Mimic, o Ricardo. Boa noite, Ricardo. Leandro Damascena, o Flávio. E aí, Flávio? Renato, Leandro. Já tem uma galerinha aqui já. Boa noite, Marcela. Boa noite, Vanessa.
Boa noite, galera. Boa noite, pessoal. 50 encontros, Balancim. 50 encontros, Vanessa.
Pô, 50 encontros.
Eu tô emocionada.
Caraca.
Gente, hoje é o quinto encontro online, né, que a gente faz, desde que começou essa loucura toda. Eu até tinha perdido a conta, que é tão gostoso que vai indo e a gente... Olha...
Eu não sei se eu tô mais emocionado pelo 50 ou porque o próximo é o 51.
Que é uma ótima ideia, não é uma boa ideia, é uma ótima ideia.
Muito bom, muito bom. Parabéns para todo mundo, parabéns pro pessoal da comunidade que faz acontecer, né? Tá vendo aqui o Leandro, tá aqui no chat.
O Flávio tá aqui também,
Flávio.
Flávio. Arrasou no TDC, arrebentou no TDC, assisti tua palestra, adorei também. O pessoal sempre colaborando muito na comunidade, muito gostoso de ver vocês aqui com a gente hoje.
Isso é sensacional. Bora então dar os recadinhos para a gente puxar o David? Vou compartilhar minha tela aqui, tá bom, Bala?
Beleza, manda bala.
Tá rolando?
Tá carregando.
Nossa, que demora. Conforme for, vai você daí, Bala.
Deixa eu já deixar preparado.
Não sei se é aqui o problema. Não, foi.
Foi?
Aí, Vanessa, vou me mutar, tá bom?
Agora foi. Show. Vou mutar eu.
Bom, gente, mais uma edição do Meetup, do User Group São Paulo. Sejam todos muito bem-vindos. A gente sempre abre os nossos encontros falando do nosso código de conduta. O código de conduta não foi feito para o time que está organizando hoje esse grupo de usuários, mas ele foi feito e deve ser feito por nós, por mim, pelo Marcelo, pelo Fábio, por vocês que estão aí também. Então, participem de forma ativa. A comunidade nossa é um espaço nosso e a gente fica muito feliz quando a gente é presenteado com comentários da galera da comunidade dizendo que nos nossos encontros, antes físicos e agora nessa fase mesmo virtual, as pessoas se sentem em casa. Então é isso que a gente quer que vocês se sintam em casa. E para isso, por favor, Marcelo, nós temos uma página de colaboração no GitHub, então vocês podem ler todo o código de conduta que nós começamos a escrever e, por favor, entrem lá, comitem com a gente, colaborem, construam essa comunidade para uma série de mais de 50 encontros que venham por aí pela frente. A gente também não pode deixar de agradecer a todos os nossos apoiadores, então, o pessoal da Web4, da Cloud8, da Novatec, da KDW, que sempre estiveram com a gente apoiando o crescimento e desenvolvimento do conhecimento de tecnologia AWS aqui nesse país, apoiando os nossos encontros com ações. E eu posso aproveitar para chamar o nosso querido amigo para apresentar um dos grandes apoiadores e membros de comunidade também.
Tcharam! Aí, Diogo!
Diogo, seja muito bem-vindo, cara.
Fala, pessoal, tudo bom? Estou muito feliz de estar aqui com vocês. Um parabéns coletivo, né? Pô, chegar a 50 não é para qualquer um. Então, muito bom. Parabéns a cada um de vocês que ajuda na comunidade, que participa, que constrói essa família em conjunto. Então, Dia muito legal, 50. Fechar com chave de ouro esse encontro de hoje, hein? Muito bom.
Diogo, a gente vai sortear hoje mais uma vez um voucher, né, para o treinamento. Tava falando para o Diogo que toda vez que eu abro o LinkedIn tem alguém que fez o curso dele e passou na certificação. Você vai rolando 10, 15 pessoas, é impressionante. Como vai funcionar o sorteio, Diogo? Para quem está aí pela primeira vez, como funciona o sorteio? E qual é o conteúdo do curso? Tá? Você pode falar um pouquinho do curso e depois do sorteio para a gente, por favor?
Legal. O sorteio não tem segredo, né? É você realmente ficar até o final do nosso encontro. Você vai compartilhar ali a hashtag que depois o pessoal vai comentar com vocês. Estando presente, você já está no radar, é possível de você ganhar o voucher. Um pouquinho sobre o curso, bom, tentei entregar o curso mais completo possível em português. Então, lá atrás, quando eu comecei a estudar Cloud Computing, eu tive dificuldade ali de entender determinados conceitos. Os cursos em inglês, não é todo mundo que tem proficiência nesse idioma, né? Pensei, por que não tentar fazer a diferença? Então, o curso cobre desde quem está dando ali os seus primeiros passos em Cloud Computing, até quem já conhece e quer tentar uma certificação profissional da AWS. Então, ele é bem abrangente, uma carga horária bem extensa, entretanto, é um curso leve, tá? Eu busco conciliar a parte teórica com a parte prática ali de labs, de forma que a pessoa realmente construa o conhecimento que ela precisa, não só para a prova, mas para aplicação no mercado de trabalho. Um pouquinho de merchan, eu não gosto muito do merchan,
Para a
né?
vida, né? Não, mas, poxa, é um merchan de quem está
Saudável,
fazendo acontecer, cara. Muito saudável, ajuda muita gente, tá?
legal.
Diogo, vamos usar aquela URL para as pessoas se cadastrarem naquele formulário e fazer o sorteio com base
Legal.
nela?
Verdade,
É essa
mais
URL, né?
assertivo, né? Isso, essa URL. Então, acessem aí, pessoal, web4.com.br, AWS-usergroup-SP, tem lá um formulário, vai cair ali em um form para mim, depois eu faço um sorteio randômico a partir de quem se cadastrou lá, tá bom?
No final do encontro, né? A pessoa tem que estar aqui no final do encontro.
Sim, porque a gente
É
vai
isso.
chamar o nome ao vivo, você tem que responder via chat ali. É uma
É isso.
conjunção dos astros no qual você está presente.
Muito bom. Ô, Bala,
Você tá com o próximo aí?
como é que vai funcionar a bagunça que a gente vai fazer com a Mimic hoje? Como é que vai funcionar
Marcelo,
isso?
deixa eu te perguntar, você tá com fome?
Eu tô sempre com
Cara,
fome,
essa
Bala.
essa foto não te dá
Fome
uma
de
fominha,
AWS.
né? Cara, a gente, em conjunto com a Mimic, estamos realizando uma ação fantástica de distribuir alguns lanches para quem for sorteado. E eu não preciso dizer mais nada. Olha essa foto que maravilhosa. Quem tiver com fome, eu acho que é o suficiente para participar. Mas eu queria deixar uma coisa bem clara. Ô Marcelo, quais são as regras? Que a gente teve no último até algumas coisas sobre regras. Quais são as regras para a pessoa participar desse sorteio?
Então, isso aqui vai funcionar assim, tá? Ou vai ser o sanduíche, ou vai ser o boné da Mimic, tá bom? A gente está com o Lucas aqui da Mimic usando o boné. Ô, Lucas, nós vamos puxar você para mostrar o boné, tá bom? Tá aqui o Lucas. Esse é o boné da Mimic. O boné da Mimic você vai receber via correio se você estiver fora da área de atuação para receber o sanduíche, tá bom? Então vão ser 10 sorteados com base lá nessa hashtag que está aqui na figura, no Twitter. Você tem que seguir o Twitter do AWS User Group São Paulo, porque nós vamos entrar em contato com você via DM, para pegar o seu endereço, e aí a gente vai saber se você está dentro da área de cobertura. Você vai receber o sanduíche, o combo da Patches, ou se você vai receber o boné via correio, e tanto o sanduíche como o boné eles vão ser encaminhados a partir de amanhã. Tá? O sanduíche amanhã, se você estiver na área de atuação, e o boné a partir de amanhã, e você vai receber pelo correio, conforme o prazo de entrega do correio. É isso, Van? Você quer complementar alguma coisa?
Olha aí, esse
Não?
home office
Foi
vai ficar
redondinho?
gostoso.
Exatamente, meu. Eu já estou com fome aqui. Se vocês não seguirem, a gente não postarem, comentarem lá, já estou participando aqui. Já estou fazendo meu post agora, aliás.
É isso. É isso aí, pessoal. Se tiver alguma dúvida, a gente volta Nós estamos atentos aqui nos comentários do encontro, tá? Mas as regras são bem simples. Posta alguma coisa lá com essa hashtag, a gente vai puxar no final do encontro, randomizar, e a pessoa tem que estar aqui para levar o combo ou o boné, tá bom? É uma brincadeira, é uma coisa para a gente se aproximar aqui enquanto comunidade. Quando a gente está junto ali, aqueles encontros presenciais, isso rola de um jeito mais bacana, a gente sente muita falta disso. Então a gente fica procurando essas coisinhas assim para gerar alguma interação, a gente acha que funciona bem, tá? Vamos embora para o conteúdo agora, Bala, que é o que importa.
Eu quero só antecipar uma coisa. Teremos um recado maravilhoso no final do Meetup. Quem quiser ficar até o final do Meetup, a gente vai fazer um easter egg das próximas apresentações que a gente vai ter.
Sem brincadeira, é sensacional. É sensacional. Fala aí,
sensacional. Bala. E sobre a apresentação que teremos agora do David Grants, ele vai apresentar para vocês o conteúdo, e quem tiver dúvida sempre pode postar a questão aqui nos comentários do YouTube. A gente vai anotar e no final da apresentação, como de costume, a gente lança as perguntas para o David responder. Tudo bem, galera? Vamos começar? Parte 1, 2, 3? Força no lanche. Vamos lá. Vou puxar o David.
Hi, everybody. Oi, todo mundo. Eu tenho português um pouco fraco, então eu vou falar em inglês. Eu espero que todo mundo possa continuar e seguir a apresentação. So I'm going to share my screen and start the presentation, everybody.
Okay.
Okay. So, a simple tech stack to start a microservice startup. It's not a very simple title, of course. So, can you see my screen, everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. So about me, right? I'm the CTO at Mimic. I just became a father like 7 months ago, so I have a lot of pictures with him, so I had to put him on the presentation as well. I actually am Ecuadorian. I study computer science in Buenos Aires. I live in Buenos Aires, and I was planning to Sao Paulo to study for Mimic there full time, and suddenly the coronavirus hit, and so I am working remotely here while my entire team is in Sao Paulo. My experience is mostly 11 years working in tech companies. I've worked for OLX, I worked for Restaurando. I was CTO at Restaurando. So I have a lot of experience with basically online internet companies and working with multi-functional, cross-functional teams. I was a very early adopter of agile methodologies. I started implementing them in 2011. So I was actually like, if you could say that I've been working on the mobile product landscape for quite a while. And I'm super happy to have joined Mimic. My friend, my co-founder, Andres Andrade, he's also Ecuadorian. We're both Ecuadorians. We were friends in first school, in primary school. And when he told me about the idea of what Mimic was, I decided to basically, with a baby on the way, living in Buenos Aires, with my wife not really liking the idea of moving to Sao Paulo, leaving her job, I decided to somehow try to get in because I thought the idea was going to be amazing. So what about Mimic? What is Mimic beyond patties? Mimic is the leading dark kitchen as a service startup in Sao Paulo. What does that mean? It means basically we license amazing brands like Patty's Burger, and we produce food for them at scale. We essentially have a distribution network of kitchens that we build, that we hire the people to cook food for in them, and we sell those foods online through Rappi. We used to sell on Uber Eats as well. Today, we are top 5 seller in Rappi, actually. Number 1 is McDonald's. We're very, very close to them. So we've actually been very successful in finding this combination of getting amazing brands that they have a difficulty scaling and launching. And then we just basically help them supercharge that growth, and we pay a royalty for each dish sold. So for the restaurant owner, it is a great way of expanding with very little risk. And that is what Mimic started doing. But one of the things we thought was important was to also have technology and lean operations at every single step of the way, so we could make sure that the margins are not very high when you're selling food online. So you have to really make sure that you are constantly improving and you understand as much as possible the entire customer journey, so you can always actually make money. So because of that, one of the things that we created already is a project called Beeline. Here's a screenshot of what it is. It's actually a React application in real time. And essentially, this is a screenshot. It basically prioritizes all the requests that we receive from the hub, and it makes sure that it just prioritizes them according to when the motoboy is about to arrive to the hub. So essentially, one of the problems you have in delivery is that when people make an order, usually that's not the time when you want to start cooking the food, because the motoboy takes a while to arrive, but you usually don't know when he will arrive. So what we actually built is a system that is receiving signals in real time from Rappi, and tells us when the motoboy is about to arrive, and then we just basically start producing those meals at that moment, so that when the motoboy arrives, we don't wait a long time. And this is essentially a kitchen screen that the kitchen sees, where they just see what are the dishes they have to cook for like this collection of orders. So it's also very simple for the kitchen to know what to cook without looking at kitchen orders, or without trying to understand each and every individual order, what they need to produce. So this is an example of how we are creating new technology in the space, and really trying to optimize what's production for food. And again, we want to have a real-time view of the entire customer journey. Here, for example, you can see like all the time that is gone when you're trying to deliver an order to a customer. Like, for example, you can see that the orange is how long it takes for us to cook the food. The light blue is how long it takes for the courier to arrive. The dark blue is how long it takes for the courier to go to the customer. So as you can actually see, we have some access to information that allows us to understand how to continue improving, and also working with Rappi, improving also how exactly our couriers work, and how can we make it more efficient. So that is what Mimic is. And one of the things I would love to see before I get started into why we're building the software we're building, on how we're building it, is I would like to know, what are your expectations? What you're looking for in this? What are your expectations coming up? Like, why did you decide to use 1 hour of your time to see me speak? Like, what I'm really interested in that. So I created this little Slido. I'm hoping you guys can enter just by using the QR code or the code here. And it will basically be great if we can start seeing some responses before I move forward as to what is your reason for attending. So I'm going to be waiting here for some responses. Is that okay? I'm asking the hosts.
It's okay. I hear your voice. Sorry about my late. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm also looking at the live feed on another computer, and I see that it's like delayed, like a couple of minutes.
Okay.
So I guess maybe that's why I'm. Oh, actually, there's a lot of answers already. Oh, great. All right, cool. Interesting. It's time to move. Super interesting stuff. So we already got 15 responses. I'm gonna wait just a little bit more, I think, just in case somebody's looking at the live right now and they're gonna start getting right now access to Slido. Yep, I think it's stayed there at 15. Okay, so if you look at sorry, here we go again. So if you look at the results, the biggest result is I work for a large company, and I want to see how it differs from a startup. So that is super interesting, and that's actually my impression as well. What I thought was most people were going to be already working at a big company, and they would be curious, okay, how does it mean to work at a startup? What's going on with Mimic? What are they doing? So the first thing I want to tell everybody, oh, sorry, something happened. There it is. The first thing I want to tell everybody is that you can't really copy a piano and expect it to play music. What this means is that there is really no point, I think, in that I start talking about the tech stack that Mimic has without first explaining the principles behind why we're doing the things we're doing and how we're doing the things we're doing. Again, if you see a piano and you copy it without understanding the fundamentals of how a piano works, trust me, that piano will not make a nice sound. So this is the same thing. Technological platforms are very complex. So it's not about copying. It's really not about copying what other people are doing. It's more about understanding what they're doing. And the reason why, I think, is because complex systems like a tech stack for a startup in reality are not designed. They are discovered. What I mean by this is that it's really hard for you to, it's such a moving system with so many things in play and so many unknowns that if you try to design it and you try to think that you can put it into paper, something that will work, and you will not iterate or you will not delegate, it's not going to be very successful. So again, you need to understand what are the underlying principles. What is actually going on? Why is the team doing what they're doing? And basically, I'm taking a page here from the Ray Dalio book, Principles, and I'm going to try to, if I may, show you guys what are the principles that we've used to guide the design of our own team and our own technology. And essentially what you'll see, one of the first things I realized is that if you're going to talk about a tech stack for a startup, you also have to talk a lot about the team. It's not about the technology. It's most around the team and the organization and how you're creating that culture and what is the culture you're creating. So before I talk about technology, guys, I will have to talk a little bit about team organization. And I hope this is also an interesting topic for people that are working in big companies. And maybe it will help them understand a couple of things. So without further ado, let's go to the principle number one. So the principle number one is we delegate problems, not tasks, and we do this recursively. So what do I mean by this? So let's say, for example, a typical task that you could imagine is, please create a deployment pipeline for our team, okay? This is a typical thing that we all have to deal with at some point when we're creating a startup, or any company for that matter that's shipping code. And it's very simple. It's very funny how if you give this task to somebody, it's very easy to imagine what are all of the things that could go wrong with this task. Like, it is a very difficult task. So most CTOs will feel very wary. They will not really delegate the sort of decision making that easily. And if you're also unless that person has already done it before, and then what happens is that person basically defaults back to whatever they've already done before, and they literally just push that new solution into this company because they just know it, they know it works, they have experience with it, and you just repeat the same thing over and over. And here's the problem is that essentially what you're doing when you say, please create a deployment pipeline, is that you're delegating a task. You're not explaining why, you're not explaining how, you're not explaining what's the problem it solves. You're just basically saying, please do this. How do we do that same problem and we word it as a problem? We phrase it as a problem. So what my idea would be the following. first of all, we need our developers to be able to launch applications by themselves easily and safely. So there's a first requirement is developers should be able to, without the need or without the help from DevOps, just create applications and launch them. Second thing is devs should be able to test code before it reaches our customers, both manually and automatically. And it should be easy for them to do these two things. So again, you're describing here a requirement to the problem, to a constraint, if you will. The third thing is the entire pipeline should run in less than 5 minutes. So again, you could assume that the pipeline may have some sort of hook where you can put in tests, but without that hook, the whole thing should run less than 5 minutes. And finally, you have a budget of $300 per month. So, and you have a deadline by the end of this quarter, 3 months or 2 months or 1 month, whatever. As you can actually see here, it becomes much easier for me to delegate this problem, to actually say, hey, this is why we're doing this. This is what, for me, means a successfully completed project. Just go ahead and execute along these lines, and you're free to do whatever you want. And honestly, if you can find, if you want to use Circle CI and it matches all of these things, that's perfect. Or if you want to do something else but matches all of these things, that's also perfect. You have to find what is the best thing that can help you deliver this as soon as possible. But now the developer can actually work and be free to understand what they have to do. So let's go back a little bit. So what is a problem? Well, a problem is, usually it is either a waste or a lack of ability of doing something. Essentially, it's like for a company, it's either you're wasting money or you're wasting time, or you as a company are not even able to do something that you have to do. For example, in this case, we're not even able to push code safely without doing this. And there's also a lot of waste in terms of time wasted or errors going to production. Usually problems, they have to be tied to some sort of loss of revenue. Like there must be some way of saying, hey, this is costing us this amount of money per month. And you also should be able to measure it. If you're not able to measure it, or you have no idea how to measure it, most likely it's not a problem. It's an opinion that you have of something that should be done. You should also, a good way of knowing if you're talking about a problem is you can define the end goal without using the solution. So a good example here is, a lot of people say our problem is that we don't have tests, and that's a solution in disguise. Like they're basically, so what is the solution? Oh, we should have tests and that's it? No, because tests is not a problem. Test is a solution for some problem that might be we have too much downtime, we take too long to deploy, we don't have confidence in our code, and so forth and so on. But again, forcing you to first define exactly what it is that you want to solve, and even measuring it or offering how to measure it, that allows the developers to start being much more clear on how to execute. Now, obviously, you have to delegate problems, but it's not just about delegating. It's also about how can you make them scale. So one of the good ways of doing that is with OKRs, which I'm pretty sure everybody here has heard about, objectives and key results. But essentially, what is important to remember from this is that it's recursive. So you have the CEO has OKRs, then those OKRs go down to the team level, to the business unit, then they go to another team, and it just goes in cascade. And I'm actually going to show one example very fast on what OKRs mean. Objectives and key results basically says like what you want to achieve and how you're going to measure it. So let's go with a very quick example. Let's say the company has an OKR of reaching 20% profitability at the unit level. Basically, like every kitchen that we sell food from, we need it to be 20% profitable. Cool. Now, all areas in the company start thinking, how can we make that happen? The tech team comes up and says, hey, if we can reduce downtime by 30% on the unit level to only 50 minutes per month, we will for sure help profitability. Maybe 3%, 4%, but it's going to help a lot. Perfect. Everybody agrees. Awesome. Then the infrastructure team, which belongs to the tech team, thinks, okay, I am in charge of everything related to alerts, monitoring, and whatnot. So I want to improve the mean time to response per incident to 2 minutes. Essentially, what this means is we want to make sure that somehow our developers can be notified in less than 2 minutes on average if there's a problem in production. And that means a lot of things. That means detecting problems, that means alerting problems, and that means a lot of stuff. And then underneath, you could even go one level deeper and talk to the infrastructure engineer, and you could have a specific engineer that says, okay, my objective is going to be to deploy an alert system to the entire team that covers all business hours, and that there's always somebody ready to respond. And I will measure the mean time to response and report it weekly. And you can see how you can even make this, you can even add more constraints, like how much can he spend on the system and how long does he have until he delivers it. But you can easily see how this connects all the way up to the company level, and how the infrastructure engineer is also like, he can still, even though it's very clear that we need an alert system and that it has to do this and this and this, he can still find what is the best alert system, and he can still use his talents to define what is the better solution. So he's still free to execute with autonomy. Here are 2 examples of OKRs that I literally wrote recently. I wrote them on a piece of Google Docs. My point with this slide is, guys, don't think too much about OKRs if you're not doing them. Just write them down. A lot of people like get stuck. Oh, maybe we need a tool for this. Maybe we need that. Just write documents. Go like, okay, this is the company OKR. This is the team OKR, and then write another doc and link to it if you have like more recursion. But just actually starting to get into the exercise of doing this is already going to help you a lot. Another aspect of a very important, actually, aspect of delegation is what a scalable delegation is delegating decisions. For example, right now, today, we have to, I don't have, look, okay, so this is a great example. We have to implement a data lake. Like, it's something we have to do. And I just hired a very talented, but still junior data engineer. And we're still looking for a data lead. But anyways, she joined the team. And what I told her is, look, we need to define a data lake together, but I can't do it right now. I have so many things to do. You need to help me. But it's such a complex decision, and it requires so much experience that it's going to be tough to delegate that, to give all of that ownership without some sort of way of knowing what's going on. So one of the systems that we love to use is called Spade, which is basically, we got it from this article from Gokul Ramajaran, who's a great product luminary from Silicon Valley. Essentially, what is a Spade? It's very simple. It's a document that has 5 things. The setting. So what is the decision? When should we have to make it? Why is the decision important? People. Who is responsible for the decision? Who's the approver of the decision? Who should be consulted? Alternatives. What are the 3 or 4 things that we need to look? What are the 3 or 4 options that we have that are feasible, that are different from each other, and that they are comprehensive? In other words, with this, we have like a complete landscape of what are all the solutions. Then you decide, so what is the actual recommendation? And finally, you explain to the team what it is your Spade, how did you come to your conclusion, and the CTO and their team has veto power. In other words, we can challenge the quality of the decision making, but we cannot really challenge the decision itself. And this is great because it empowers my engineer to really, I even told her, like, read these 2 books, understand as much as you can about this, and understand what's in the market, and then come back with a proposal of what it could be. Write a Spade document. And she's now learning a lot about this. And it's going to make her improve her career a lot, but it also gives me the tranquility that I know she's dedicating her time to produce a decision that I will be able to check on, and that we will all learn from it together. And actually, we used we actually created a Spade for even defining what cloud architecture we should use. We evaluated 3 services: Google, GCP, Microsoft Azure, and Amazon Web Services. And actually, we have this document in our Google Docs, and you can see why we actually explained why was that a decision important, and then we also explained what are the key things that we have to look for. So, for example, for Mimic, for us, we're not a CPU-intensive application. We do have a lot of interest in IoT and data, and we were looking for some sort of solution that could scale as much as we grew. So we analyzed different variables, we analyzed all the different providers, and we came to the conclusion that AWS was a very safe choice for us. It actually made most sense. And one of the things that was very important for us was that there was a high degree of confidence that we will also be able to hire people that know AWS, because the community is much bigger. So, and this is actually the fact that we're talking here for this community highlights that fact. And I think this is interesting. I think this also could be very useful for AWS to understand how are companies making these decisions, and it's not just something that happens in the CTO's mind. So let's recap principle number 1 and why it's important. So the principle number 1, the biggest point that it does is that if you delegate problems, not tasks, what you're actually doing is you're not wasting. Like, one of the biggest wasted resources in companies are the creative talents of their workforce. Like, when you just delegate tasks, you do not let people think and learn for themselves. And on the other hand, it's tough to delegate problems because you have to trust a lot. But if you can clarify the outcome, if you can use OKRs, if you can use spades, suddenly you're empowering a lot of people to help you achieve what you want to achieve and move much faster and much stronger, and they also get to learn with you. So this is actually a key insight. I think this is different from many companies, especially bigger companies, where usually the high architects or the CTO or people with a lot of power in the company, usually they are the ones that make the very strategic decisions, or the ones that decide on things that could have a long-term impact, like, well, how should we build a data lake? And I think that is actually not the best idea, because a lot of people inside the company will feel like they are not being allowed to participate into those decision-making processes that actually allow them to grow a lot and allow them to move forward. So that's the first principle, and I think it is very important when you're thinking about a tech stack. Principle number 2, we are all accountable product owners. What does this mean? First, I believe that everybody is always solving a customer problem, or everybody should always be solving a customer problem. So every team we have in Mimic is designed to solve the problem for a customer. Customers could come in 2 types, internal customers and external customers. So we have actually 7 teams. We have internal facing teams, which are the design, DevOps, and data teams. And their customers are either developers or the teams internal to Mimic, the teams that execute on the business. And then the external facing teams are our business teams. Essentially, they are our production in our kitchens, our supply chain and our finance, our logistics, customer support. All of these are functions, or teams with product owners, designers, developers that are focusing on making an impact on the business, and they are the customers of these design, DevOps, and data teams. And I think this is very important, because let me show you an example. So what is what I think customer-centric DevOps? I task my head of infrastructure, Lucas, that we have to enable the best possible developer experience in LATAM. Like, if we want to get the best talent, and we are competing in a very hot space, we have to be able to deliver this sort of like amazing work experience where developers can feel effective, autonomous, challenged. They can be happy working for us. So, for example, one big step from the DevOps perspective is, are we talking to the developers? Like, do we understand what for them is a great developer experience? What is a great developer experience? And as you understand more and more about what are the common pain points, even in interviews, like when we ask developers that we're trying to hire, or that want to come join us, and we ask them, like, what is your current work experience? And they tell us what they suffer with, what they struggle with. We can actually use those pain points and think, hey, this is a roadmap. Like, our deployment pipeline should be like this, or they should have this amount of visibility, or they should be able to. This is literally how we start creating that. Of course, that along with the business in terms of cost and uptime and so forth and so on. Also, something important is that it's important for us to not reinvent the wheel. So developers should not be spending their time, each and every team, on how should we do deployments, how should we do monitoring, how should we do logging, how should we do security, how should we do secrets, how should we do environment variables. No, it doesn't make sense, because that's the same problem across all teams. So that is where DevOps must create tools and processes that solve problems forever. And I really insist on this. Let's not solve it quickly as a hack and that's it. And oh yeah, now that will work for a startup. No, actually, that's actually exactly wrong. As a startup, you want to build something that you know will scale and will grow and will be able to be used for at least 2 times the size of the team you have today. Why? Because that way you can focus on new problems. If you do not take the time to solve these problems forever really, really well, this will come back and haunt us next quarter and next quarter and next quarter, but then we will have more problems and more problems, because like we're always getting new problems, but we're always also solving the ones that we never truly solved. So this is something I really insist on. And this changes completely the dynamic. No longer do DevOps think of developers as like, they no longer fight so much. They are more like one is in service of the other, one understands the other, and there's also a priority and prioritization efforts that make it transparent as well. Another great example that I see all the time is hiring. Everybody always complains, it's very hard to hire people, it's very difficult to hire. But for me, it isn't really that difficult, and here's why. Hiring is tough if you don't understand your customers. And in reality, hire is more related now to sales. And it's more like, what are you selling? What are you selling as a company? What are you selling as a developer experience? And then also, what are devs buying? Are devs buying beer on Fridays? Are devs buying, are devs buying great salaries? Are devs buying stock? What do they really want? Especially the ones that you want. Like, there are some devs that you want more than others, the ones that are aligned more to your culture. For me, my vision is that what developers want the most is to grow. Like, devs that are ambitious are hungry. They want to learn fast. They want to grow as much as they can. They want to learn as many technologies as possible. They want to develop skills that they know they need. And my question to my company is always like, can we make a company that we can make CTO like we can make them, turn them into CTO candidates within 5 years? Like, how can we accelerate what took me 11 years to learn? How can we make it into 5 years? How can we make it into 4 years? And we will give them the tools. We will support them. We will help them. But also, will they do what it takes? Will they work hard? Will they learn as much as? Will they be challenged? Will they expose themselves? Like, we also need that, right? We need both things. And something I also have very clear in my mind is, as you're hiring these amazing talents and you're developing their skills, you're going to lose them. Like, they will stay with you for 3 years, 4 years, and then they will become CTOs, they will become development managers for another company, they will go abroad, they will do whatever they want because now they have more power. And that's perfect. What we have to do is create this sort of pipeline where we're always hiring people, always developing them, always ensuring that the culture stays together and grows. That is what I think is more important than retaining talent, because if they are truly great, you can't. And I said before, it's not. So this is why I think product owner is important, but also I think accountability is important. So don't be that organization where like you define your objectives and then you don't look at them ever again, or like nobody's looking at them or nobody's seeing them, or you don't even know what. Like, suddenly, like, the whole thing breaks down. It has happened to us as well. It happens all the time. So this Dilbert comic is very funny in that sense, because like a lot of people are working on unspoken objectives. So what do we do to make sure that this doesn't happen to us? We always require that every team presents every 2 weeks what they've been working on. They must present. Like, it's not like, oh yeah, we didn't do much, we couldn't advance, and you don't present. No, you always present, always, even if you didn't do anything. This is open to everybody in the company. Top leaders, CEO, COO, whatever. If they feel like if they're interested and they want to drop by, they're more than welcome. Everybody is. We ask our teams to start with their OKRs. What are you trying to achieve this quarter? Where are you? How much are you moving forward? What were your plans for this sprint? Did you achieve them? Yes or not? What are you learning? What are the plans for the next sprint? So we try to make it very concrete. We try to make it very results oriented, and it's also painful. Sometimes some teams get delayed. Sometimes we thought we were doing something right, we didn't. Our database is not with the right design, so now we cannot do this. And you know what? It hurts, yes, but yes, we're going to say it the moment we know about it, and we're going to explain to the company what's going on. Something else that's very similar in that vein is incident management. I used to always make the mistake of, whenever we had a problem in production, I always like send the email to the company saying, hey, yeah, we had an incident, we lost this amount of cash, this amount of money, this revenue, this is very bad for us, we promise we won't do it again, blah, 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 blah. And then it would happen again, and the developers would they would feel bad, but nothing would change, right? And something that we do now is we insist that everybody, that if there's a problem in production and your component was impacted and you're the owner of that component because you're the tech lead, then you are responsible. You will conduct a root cause analysis. You will ask 5 times why. You will understand why things happened. it's never somebody's fault. Like, you have to understand, how can we make this process impossible to fail in the future? Like, how can we make it impossible for somebody to make a mistake, because humans make mistakes all the time. And then I want you to send an email to the company leadership, or even the entire company, by the same tech lead, describing what happened, what was the problem, what was the impact, and then what are we going to do short-term, medium-term, long-term to fix this. And then short-term, I expect an email saying, yeah, by the way, I said I was going to do this last week, I did this. And I meant mid-term, we're going to do this project, and long-term, and so forth and so on. So this actually works wonders, because it allows people to start taking ownership of the bad things. And it allows them also to start telling other people, other developers, hey, be careful, do not launch this on Friday, man. Last time this was a big problem. Like, they start policing between themselves. And as a CTO, that's amazing, because like, you start seeing the ownership being shared across the entire team. So let's recap principle number 2. We're all accountable product owners. Well, the way we do this is by making sure that everybody's exposed to failure, and that is how they grow. We're exposing everybody to challenges. Also, we make sure that everybody works to solve a customer problem. So their job is to understand a customer. Everybody has working on a customer problem. They're not just doing things. And this is how we make, basically, and this is something great about Mimic as well, is that everybody, developers, everybody gets to be exposed to the entire company and present what they've been learning, what they're working on. They all become experts at the different fields, and they're sharing this all the time. And it's not the CTO talking, no, it's everybody. So this allows a lot of sharing to go on, a lot of empowerment to go along, and for people to grow fast. Last principle, third principle, we do one thing at a time. So this was actually a tough one to learn. If you look at like internet companies, you will see that there's always like this eternal battle between the business, the product, and technology. It's like a vicious circle. When it works, it's virtuous, but most of the times it's not. It's vicious. Like, the business tells the product, hey guys, we need to grow faster. Product tells tech, guys, we need to launch faster. We need to test all of these MVPs. We need to get this working. Technology says, guys, we need to add more tests. We need to do some refactors. We have 1,000 MVPs lying around. It's terrible. This is harming the customer experience. This is introducing bugs. Then suddenly customers are not liking the product. It's changing. It's not so stable. Guess what? We get less and less sales, and now business puts more and more pressure on product. And this goes back to tech. So it's like impossible to solve these things. And most companies, they try like, okay, suddenly now the product is the head of everything. Product decides on technical projects. Product decides on business projects. Until suddenly product doesn't move much the needle, or they don't really understand what's going on, and then business takes over and they fire the product owners, and then everything goes to hell because the technology is not being taken care of, and now suddenly the CTO has all control, and so forth and so on. And it's actually, it's funny how many times I've seen this. So what is the problem? Like, why is this happening? I think the biggest cause is because we're trying to do everything at the same time. As a company that's working on technology, you cannot possibly be doing tech, you cannot be possibly doing product, you cannot be possibly working on all of the things at the same time. There's a lot of interruptions going on, and it's just really hard to focus. So one of the things we do in Mimic is we simplify the quarter. So what do? Instead of having a product owner start deciding on, okay, is this refactor worth it? Is this automated test worth it? Or this project feature, what's the return on investment? Which is crazy. Like, it doesn't make sense for them to invest all that time into that, because they don't even know. It's best to just say, hey, I already agreed with the CEO. We're going to spend 25% of our portfolio, of our budget, which is basically 3 weeks per quarter of 12 weeks. We're going to spend 3 weeks working on technical projects. Then we're going to use 8 weeks to work on business projects. And finally, we're going to use 1 week to work on learning hackathons and have a little bit of fun. And this means, this is very important because it's Slack, which is the first 3 weeks. It's great because we empower developers to define any technical project that could have an impact on uptime, cost, like platform cost, developer efficiency, how much time are they wasting on something, and security. So essentially, like, anything that could ever impact a developer's experience can be a project. And they're allowed to create own any sort of project. Like they could be a one-man project, 2-people project, 3-people project, and they have 3 weeks to work on it, and they're not to be interrupted. Like they have 3 weeks to redo our entire continuous delivery pipeline, 3 weeks to refactor this code, 3 weeks for this and that. What's great is that this also allows developers to no longer complain about, oh yes, our architecture sucks, or this company this, or this company. No, you guys are just as responsible as the CTO for now our platform. So if our platform is not evolving, then we're not choosing the right projects, or no, we're not being fast enough. But with 3 weeks, actually, it's actually a good enough time to invest into developing your platform, and it's not so long that you don't see you don't see the deadline. It's like the deadline is already almost there. 3 weeks is long enough to do something significant, but not so long enough that you lose sight of the deadline. And then at the end of the 3 weeks, every single team, every single Slack team presents what they did, who they worked with, and this also it's a great opportunity to new engineers to showcase that they can actually lead. I've seen major factors, adoption of new technologies. We've migrated to Kubernetes. We've done a lot of there's maybe in previous companies, but we've done a lot of different things just with Slack. Okay, after Slack, you have those 3 weeks. During those 3 weeks, the product and design team, they can basically start thinking about how to do strategic long-term work. Essentially, like they have 3 weeks to not be in the day-to-day, to run customer interviews, to do hypothesis tests, and a lot of things. And then at the end of those 3 weeks, when we're about to start projects, the product owners will pitch the project to the developers. And sometimes developers are even allowed to say whether they want to join a specific team or another team based on their contribution. My experience is that developers always choose what they think will bring the most contribution. They always choose wisely. So I'm really impressed by this. I've seen it time and time again. We even asked them on a Google survey, like, okay, projects A, B, C, and D, which one would you work on first, second, third? Which one would you lead anyone? Yes or no? We've seen developers like 8 years back, 5 years back in developers go into, hey, I want to learn Android, so I'm going to jump into the Android team this quarter. And this allows a lot of people to continuously learn new technologies, learning other sides of the business, but also because they have all this background, they're also very effective on their new positions. So we have projects funded for 8 weeks where you have to make a business impact. You only work on the business. You have 2 weeks to make an impact every sprint. You have demos every sprint. And the time is not variable. Like if you don't deliver in those 8 weeks, that's it. Sorry, you lost your time frame, and we will rethink whether this makes sense or not. So it puts a lot of pressure and a lot of competitive spirit on the teams, but it's really effective. And finally, one thing we do is we also have some time to learn. Sometimes you want to learn new technologies. You want to learn AI. You want to do some tests with IoT. I remember in my previous company, we used to have a very old search engine, and we always thought that we should migrate it to Elasticsearch, but we just never found the time. Well, in a hackathon, 2 engineers were able to reproduce 80% of the previous Elastic engine with just previous search engine with Elasticsearch in just one hackathon. And that actually made us realize, whoa, we are not good at understanding what is the actual cost of new technologies that we have never really experienced with, and maybe it's lower than what we think. So this little hackathon week allows you for the entire team to learn new things and use those insights into your next roadmaps. So it's very valuable. Actually, it pays itself easily. And that's it. So what is the recap of the 3 principles and how do they guide into a technology stack is basically this. In principle, if you delegate problems and decision-making, if you empower your teams to own every aspect of your operation, if you give them an opportunity to learn from each other and share, and if you give them time and focus to solve and improve the platform, the business, and themselves, they will help you discover what is your ideal tech stack. They will do it quarter over quarter over quarter. So in other words, the tech stack in reality is evolved. It's not really designed. And this has been the same for us. So that is a little bit of the principles underlying how we at Mimic think about this. And I really do hope that some of these principles might resonate or might help, or at least trigger some sort of idea with people working in other companies about maybe they could apply some of these things into their own. However, you came for a tech stack, so I thought, hey, we have to give the people what they want, right? So let's talk about our own tech stack and what it is that we have defined. So let's go on the different layers. So regarding infrastructure, again, we believe that developers should have a lot of autonomy. So we have created, we've thought of an infrastructure that has easy interfaces, so that developers, without really needing a lot of infrastructure work, they can just do it themselves, deploy the projects, deploy microservices if they want to. Even our deployment scripts, they actually go and find the repository name of the project, and they create DNS entries directly so that it just launches programmatically. And essentially, if you think about, okay, if that's what we want to solve, what are the technologies that you guys use to solve this? Well, it's not really surprising. Like, we went with AWS. Obviously, we were going to use Kubernetes and Docker because that allows maximum flexibility between our resources in the cloud and the applications that the developers create, and it's very resilient. We are also using Terraform because we believe in infrastructure as code, and we believe in an infrastructure that is immutable. And then for the deployment pipeline, we've used GitLab. We didn't think we were going to use GitLab, but we did a lot of research about it. We understood all of the needs that we wanted, and we found GitLab actually to be a very successful technology that helps us connect directly. And then finally, SignalFX. So SignalFX is something we're evaluating today. It's the solution that we're trying to use for APM and infrastructure monitoring. We're also playing around with Zabbix, and we're also constructing a SPADE document on that one as well. Regarding the tech team, so okay, that's the infrastructure, and that's the underlying components of the technology. What's above them? Okay, so there are some principles that we have. So we want to be able to scale our team quickly and work without dependencies or bottlenecks. Like, I believe Mimic right now has 4 business teams. It could easily be 12 business teams if we continue growing at the space where we want. So we need to be able to replicate that. We need to be able to create new teams over and over and over, and they should just be as dynamic, as autonomous as we have them today. Also, code should be easy to modify. I expect developers that join us to push new code to production the very same day, and they have to do it with confidence. So again, this means that the code should be easy to use. The code should be easy to launch in your computer. The code should be easy to test within your computer, and it should be a one-click launch or one-command launch. We need to create real-time applications. We need to create applications that respond in real time, that show in the kitchen what's going on with the order. So we need to definitely have something that works really well for that. And also, what we're learning as a kitchen is that we always have new problems and services and integration we want to solve. Like, for example, now we're working on logistics, customer support. Maybe tomorrow we work on payroll. Maybe tomorrow we work on back of the house, maybe on labor. Like, there's so many things that individually are working well, but only if you integrate them together can you really make sure that you're building the best delivery operation, dark kitchen operation in the world. So we also want to make it easy for us to orchestrate new services. And finally, we also want that front-end developers can work without having bottlenecks in the backend. So we want to be extremely flexible in this sense. Okay, so what does that mean in reality? Well, of course, Docker Compose is the interface between development and infrastructure, so that's necessary. But there are and React is what we're using for the front end, which we also find. Well, you guys all know React, and basically why we're using it. It's a great advance from what it used to be the HTML, CSS, JS separation of concerns. But we also discovered 2 new technologies that we really liked. Hasura is definitely one of them. Hasura, what it is a GraphQL backend that you put on top of a database of PostgreSQL. So essentially, like, it converts a database immediately into an API, a GraphQL API. So it's very, very interesting. And the second project that we're using is FastAPI. FastAPI is a framework. It's a web framework, REST API framework for Python. It's basically much simpler, much easier to use than Flask. And we were very happy with it. For some services that we don't really need to do Hasura because we don't have a front end, and we just thought maybe a REST API is simpler here. Fast API has really worked out really well for us. So going a little bit into Hasura, which I think maybe wasn't very clear to everybody, Hasura is really powerful because what it allows you to do is you just plug it into your database or something else, event system, internal APIs, external APIs. You just plug it in a way that you just literally like give credentials connections to the database. And it loads the schema. You basically choose the table that you want to be exposing to the API, what are the different fields, and then if you guys know GraphQL, it basically does like a reverse of control. So now the web applications and the applications can now basically specify what do I need to get. And this is very, like, the typical example is if you are working on the mobile home view of an Android application and you need to execute, like you need access to the feed information, to the user information, a lot of different things. If that's a REST API, you have to do like 12, 14 REST API calls. With GraphQL, you just basically ask for all of that data. So we're using GraphQL for the front-end application in the kitchen that does all of these updates in real time with the orders. But interestingly, GraphQL also has like GraphQL subscriptions. So we can also be notified in real time when the database is modified. So, and it just literally works. So it's really powerful. Hasura also has event triggers. So whenever a database gets an insert or an update or whatever, it can literally fire a webhook to other systems. So we're using this to connect multiple systems together. We truly believe that if we want to scale, I wanted to start as a microservice company. I know it sounds kind of like it could be a debate, but I really believe that if we're going to scale fast, I don't want to then transition from the monolith to the microservice. I just want to get it over with. Let's just do it. We started with Lambda functions. That was very complicated. We're getting away from Lambda and going to Docker containers and applications using Kubernetes, which are easier to understand, reason, work with, observe, and everything. Maybe we're just too dumb for serverless. But anyways, that's a different topic. But the point is, we are building an event-driven architecture. So right now we're using Hasura, but eventually, and this is something else, another objective for our data team, poor Hannah. This is another objective for a data team, is like we need some sort of event bus-driven event broker, some sort of bus system that connects all of the different platforms together. Because, for example, if we already have Beeline working, and every time we get a new sale, what would be amazing is that after that event, we have a taxes API that can understand that happened and then declare taxes. We have a customer support API that immediately receives that information and shows it into customer timeline. So most of these things are connected, but they're not connected through something much more scalable. So this is something we're going to work on. But essentially, like, you have a lot of different services that we can use for specific things and then orchestrate them together through this event broker. And this is also very powerful because if you need to put in some sort of like, let's say you need a fraud system or you need a logistics system or something, whatever, this is super simple to plug and play, and the operation is basically configured directly. Now Amazon has EventBridge, which we're also looking into. We're going to write a SPADE document about this, of course, as well. So, okay, this is just our tech stack today. It is evolving, it is changing, it is helping us. Today we're a team of 13 people. We want to take it to a team of 30, 60 people. So I hope that this will sustain us as we grow. I also, I understand these topics are, like, it sounds easy in a presentation, but once you really want to dive deeper, it's much more complex. But I do encourage everyone to not sit idly, to not do anything. So if you're more than welcome, like, truly, I encourage it. Please go ahead and book me a 30-minute meeting. Like, you can go directly to this link and just literally click there, and you'll see my calendar, my whole agenda, and just book a single space there and say, like, hi, David, liked your presentation, whatever. I would love to talk about this thing, and I will literally help you for 30 minutes. I think it's very, very important. Just tell me who you are, what do you want me to help you with, and we will chat. And if I cannot help you because, like, nobody in my company would ever listen to me and it's really hard and this and that, you're more than welcome to join us and just literally go ahead and apply. We have a ton of openings for our company and we're growing a lot in many different challenging problems. So, okay, that's it for me. I'm not sure if, thank you very, very much, everybody. I'm open to questions now. Can you talk a little bit more about 300? Hello? So I should just answer the questions that are coming up underneath?
Oh, sorry. sorry. The question is from Flavio Recia. Can you talk a little bit more about 300 budget?
No, so that was just an example. Like, so if you give somebody an objective of let's construct this sort of solution for developers so they are able to launch code easily, safely, you put a budget there so that you give them like, hey, please only spend as much as $300, which is what I would be willing to spend. Why is that? Why is that? Because maybe they find a great solution, Circle CI, for example, and it's like $1,000 per month, or it doesn't scale as doesn't scale as much as we grow the team. Those are typical things that developers, when they're first tackling the sort of problems, they don't think about, and CTOs do think about a lot. So as you put it into practice, you put it into writing, you make them think about it, and you make them find solutions within that context. Or maybe you just need to do something open source and just manage it yourself. So that's a little bit of why I just chose 300. It could have been easily anything else.
Okay. The second one is from Leandro Damascena. Great, David. You are. It's like a elogio. It's
A
like
compliment.
Yes. Great, David. You are new leader generation. Only hire people that can replace you by knowledge and dedication.
Yeah.
We in this presentation we have a lot of elogios here. Congrats, David.
No,
you are amazing for our people here.
No, to be honest, I thank you. But honestly, I think this is going to be not new. This is going to be what's going to be the default. The companies are changing so fast. You need to be super competitive. The fight for talent is so high that if you're like, what's happening? It's basically forcing companies to really be an amazing place for everybody joining to grow and to move fast, and also to make an impact for the investors. So it's basically forcing everybody to be great leaders. And yeah, there's a lot of things that there are amazing books about leadership that I've used. There are amazing organizations from leadership. If you ever want to talk just about leadership, I would be more than happy to.
It's awesome, man. We like your presentation. Congrats. The third question is from Renato. In these demos, teams must be physically present or they can jump in a call. It seems to be the new normal nowadays.
So today we're doing everything remote. Honestly, I've always been on the idea of if you feel like you want to work from home. Like you get like, if you want to do a lot of focused work, stay at home. But sometimes it's good to be at the office to see everybody. Sometimes you want to do a workshop, or you want to do something, a strategy meeting, a planning meeting, and that's much better to be together. But honestly, with the coronavirus, everybody has been working remotely for the last 3 months, including myself. So when I ever get back to Sao Paulo, when I'm allowed to fly again in Argentina, I would love to see everybody's faces and stuff. But I don't think they have to be physically present now.
Okay. This question is from Leandro. David, how your company reward brilliant ideas and the minds? Creative and freedom environment are excellent rewards to motivate everyone.
I think so. in our company, we reward brilliant ideas and minds by literally giving them tougher and tougher assignments. So I hire you as a DevOps, and suddenly you start showing me that you have skills at IT and infrastructure, and you start managing this and helping this, and suddenly you're brilliant and you're working super hard. Hey, guess what? How do we give you more responsibility? How can we hire a team to help you get this further and further? How can we get bigger goals? Sometimes we go too far. Sometimes you overshoot. That's fine. But in a way, the answer to your question would be, we give them more responsibility. We give them higher rewards, financial rewards as well, higher recognition, but also like you just get to enjoy new challenges. And that's how we reward, by making you grow faster, basically.
Cool. This question is from Flavio. How people behave with the exposure of their failures? Is the turnover common because of that?
Actually, so far we have no turnover, but we're a very young company. But my experience is that if you make a company where you realize that, for example, the other day somebody made a mistake in a database, they deleted some data. It's not their fault. It's the CTO's fault. How could it be possible for a developer to go in and delete data from the database? I knew it was going to be a problem, and it was a problem. And I knew we had to fix it, and yet I didn't fix it. I didn't prioritize it. Why would I? So I think it would be crazy for me to blame people for individual mistakes. I also make a lot of mistakes. So as you realize that we as a team need to get any mistake that happened, understand why did it happen, how can we prevent it from happening again, and then we work hard to prevent it from happening again. Guess what? The problem doesn't happen again. My team grows, I grow, and suddenly we get better and better. And guess what? Building technology is complex, so there is no way that you can avoid mistakes. You will always make mistakes, because it's not really mistakes. It's that you didn't know what you didn't know. Like I create this application, it works perfect in one hub. Suddenly launched to 10 hubs, and now it doesn't work. Why? Because 10 hubs have like this sort of, the threads go crazy at that level. And there was no way I would have known that. Like I could have imagined it, and I could have created tests, stress testing, and a lot of things. Oh, guess what? I did it now with an RCA. I know this, and I could prevent it in the future. And now it's shared learning for everybody. If I suddenly fire that person, then suddenly we lose the opportunity to learn, we lose the opportunity to grow, and we're just even worse off. And people, what's the problem? If people are afraid of any failure, they will be paralyzed. They will not move. They will not make decisions. They will not take action. They will not execute. So your company is a zombie. It's like a skeleton. Like it doesn't move. It's waiting for something to happen.
True.
That's the word. You're dead. If that happens, forget it.
That's true. Good point.
Well, David, thank you for your presentation and for your answers. Me and the whole audience, we are really happy about your presentation. We are really amazed about the content. So I came here to help balancing, to move on with the questions with the audience. From Diogo Guedes. David, how do you manage the pressure from investors, keeping the IT team safe of crazy goals? Good question.
I think it's a good question. I think the IT. So this is a little bit of what I was talking before. Sometimes there is this perverse vicious cycle, which is like a business has a lot of pressure. It puts pressure on product, that puts pressure on tech, and then you get like this crazy monster of everybody putting pressure on everybody. I didn't cover that a lot, but I believe that usually happens because you don't know what what problem you're solving for what customer. So like what actually happens is everybody's trying new things to see what works, and nobody really has any idea. This happens usually to companies that they did it without knowing the customer problem. They just invented something and it somehow worked, or they copied from somewhere else, but they don't know why it works. And suddenly it's like, okay, it took us to this level, but now how do we take it further? And this is where like you have no idea. So it actually happened to us. We launched Restaurando. Well, my previous bosses, they launched Restaurando. I joined them later. But essentially, like, they copied a model from the United States. They put it here, and they copied, like, literally. And like, people in Latin America do not make reservations. So suddenly, like, it wasn't growing anymore, and there was a lot of pressure, and there was a lot of pressure everywhere. So as we started understanding, so there are techniques to understanding customers much better, and quantitatively, like, jobs to be done is a great technique. I use it a lot. It allows you to understand, like, an entire market. What are the needs of the customers, and what are their priorities? Like, quantify them. So, for example, for reservations, making reservations, we understood that customers, what they really wanted was to break with the routine. And going out for dinner to a place that's exotic is one of the best ways of breaking with a routine in a couple. And we started understanding that discovery was very important. So I think that once you start understanding your customer better, and you really have evidence of why this will work, suddenly, like, there's a lot less pressure, because things are moving, things are growing. And maybe you do have, there's also a possibility you might have very bad investors. But in general, investors, they will try to support you if they see that your vision is true, and then you understand the customer and the problem. Which, by the way, for us in Mimic, it's very interesting, because we are operating a big dark kitchen, and we're also building technology for the dark kitchen. So we do know the problem and the customer really well, because we are the customer, and that actually resonates very strongly with our investors.
Okay, the next question is from Fabio, like, my name. Do you think pair programming is a good idea to improve developers' skill?
I think it's a great idea. I think pair programming, however, a lot of people don't know what pair programming really is. If you're going to do pair programming as it's intended, with test-driven development, where one developer writes the tests, another developer writes the passing code, and then they write the test, and then they give it back to you. I've done it several times. I don't have any more time to do it, but I know it's amazing, because it makes, you're adding a lot of knowledge. Like, while one people is writing, the other people is thinking of the other scenarios. They're designing, they're working together on design of the code. They're refactoring together. It's amazing. I would love to pair program more senior people with junior people. And that's, like, it shortens the gap between their skills so fast. And again, what you want in your company is to make sure that everybody gets more and more advanced in their skill set, so that you as a team are much more resilient and strong. So I think it's very important. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. And before the next question, David, if I may, I would like to hear a little bit more about how do you guide your team to achieve a kind of a balanced skills between the soft skills and the hard skills, just to lead them, and in order to see what the customer needs beyond the pair programming.
So okay, so I'm going to give you, like, how, but it's deeper than that. The best way is just by so if you give them a challenge, a tough challenge, and you ask them to give you results every 2 weeks and present them to the entire company, they will fail. Like, they will suddenly come with a plan and makes no sense, or suddenly, like, they will present something and the people from sales will be like, that will never sell, or whatever. And they will realize through failure, oh my God, we lost something, we didn't realize something, or something. So once they fail, then, what you always have to do is you always have to have a one-on-one with everybody that reports to you, and everybody should have a one-on-one with everybody that they report to. So essentially, everybody has to have a one-on-one with their boss once every 2 weeks, 45 minutes. So in those one-on-ones, you will always hear the developer coming to you and saying, man, I hated what happened on this retrospective. I hated what happened here. I hated what happened there. And that gives you the opportunity to help them understand why this is happening. And usually it's either they should read a book or they should learn more about this. For example, typical case that I have, I hire an amazing developer. This guy's super smart, but guess what? He is a tyrant. Like, he wants to grow super fast. He's always mean with everybody else, like, so forth and so on. These people, they're always frustrated by how people are slower than them. And it's true, they are. Some people are extremely smart. But once you make them realize, once they fail because people are not following them, they're not achieving their goals, and they realize they need other people to help them, usually if you tell them, man, it's not about you being the best at everything, it's about people following you to making a great impact, suddenly their chips changes. Like they start realizing they need to get along with people, they start creating like ping pong tournaments, whatever, and suddenly, you know what, they figure out amazing ways of connecting the team together, and they become better leaders. So again, but the key point is that they were exposed at failure, and once they failed, now they are opening their minds to see, hey, I need to learn something new because what I'm doing doesn't work.
Thank you very much. So let's move to the next question from William Moraes. What about when developers want to use a new programming language? How to measure the impact when you delegate it for the team? And thanks for your presentation. It was awesome.
Thank you. So actually, this is a great question. It comes up all the time. I don't care what language you use, as long as there are three things. One, you can build a Docker image with it, so infrastructure doesn't need to care about it. They will just launch it. Two, that we can hire developers for this language. Do not come with like Rust bucket or some like, well, maybe Rust, yes, but like some crazy languages that nobody wants to learn. So I will usually ask you, like, if you want to do a new language, tell me how mature is the ecosystem, how many people are there, and why do you want to learn it? Like, and I think something interesting is, if you, how to measure the impact, one of the great impacts about learning new technologies is that it makes us as a company, if the technology is hot and everybody wants to learn it, it makes us as a company a better place to work. It improves developer experience, because a lot of people want to learn that technology, and they would work with you because they want to learn it as well, because it makes them more marketable, because they can get other jobs, they can grow their careers. So I think tech companies need to have a great roadmap of taking new technologies and learning new programming language. Otherwise, they will lose great talent. So again, I would say, like, if the language has a standard way of us not like, if you're willing to recreate all of our tools regarding logging, monitoring, and everything else for that language, in case those libraries don't exist, man, go ahead and do it. I don't like, if this technology is going to help you deliver your results better, you are in charge of it. Make it happen. If you don't do it and you tried something and it didn't work and it was more complex than you thought, at the end of the quarter, you will say, you know what, David, I learned a lesson. Changing technologies is really hard. It's a much tougher than I thought. Lesson learned. And let's explain it to the entire team what was the lesson. And that's how everybody starts learning.
Okay. The next one is from Guilherme Latrova. Daniel, Hasura is not a NoSQL database. It's a service that creates... no, forget about. This is an answer for one question in text. From Fabio William Oliveira. Hot ask, do you have a problem to hire an old worker or developer?
That's a tough question. I think the answer is no, but I do expect a lot of hunger and a lot of learning, and that's something that we look for in our team. People that really want to learn. So I don't care of the age. I just care about that passion to learn. And unfortunately, most of the young developers, they still have that sort of like fanatical belief that they can be amazing, you know, like when they're 25, 26, they're like, yeah, I want to grow so much, I want to be amazing, I want to learn everything, I want to learn. It sounds like crazy. And when you talk to a developer that's 32, 33, they're like, yeah, I just want to, you know, get a great job. I've had so many tough bosses in my life, and it has happened to me. I know exactly what I mean, because I've also seen that sort of like passion diminish with time. So I try to live that. I try to create. So what I always try is to create an environment where I, as a young developer, would have loved it, you know. But if somebody's older and has amazing passion, please apply. Please come see us.
Cool. That's important.
Very important. Guys from the audience, please take the David's So apply for Mimic. A new question from Fabio Imada. What is the most important thing for you when hiring new people?
So that's a great question.
It sounds like a tip, right?
It's okay. I would love to help. So, okay, so this is how it works, guys. I'm gonna be very, very open here. We usually do three things. Usually our tech recruiters get in touch with developers and they try to find out what are they, like basically like, are they eager to learn? Can they learn fast? What are their values? We always say we want samurais, like people very loyal to the overall mission and not ninjas, very mercenary type people that like, you know, like suddenly salary goes 30% up and somewhere else, they will jump ship. And lastly, what we also want is developers that I don't like specialists. Like, for example, somebody that has been doing Android for 8 years and they want to continue doing Android. I get it. If you're very specialized in something, you're almost like a consultant working for like companies that pay you really well, or you're just basically helping everybody with Android. But for us, what we want are problem solvers, people that are like, I don't care if you don't know Android. I would never ask for a developer to know any technology. I don't care what technologies you know. All I care about is, can you learn in 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is that you need to do to make the problem be solved? And that is basically what we're looking for as a high-level profile. But then the process goes on. What we do is we send an email test with a complex question, but not very complex. We just ask them to solve a specific problem. Some people don't answer that, but the ones that answer do get a chance to come to a live interview with me. And there we basically solve a complex problem together. Usually it's a recursive problem. And I've seen people that have no idea about recursion actually learn. What I want is to learn with you. So like, I want to see how you reason. I want to see how you think. I want to see how you analyze what I tell you, really reason about it, and then start building on top of it. So I don't care if you don't know recursion or you don't know complex algorithm trees or whatever. If you can show me that you can consistently improve and learn and grow, then that's fine. Sometimes I see a lot of people, they come to the problem and their minds are just like trying to remember what they saw in college, and yes, and this was like this, and they try to like somehow find an answer somewhere there, and they're struggling and they're getting nervous, and honestly they're not thinking. They're more like paralyzed by fear or something else, and usually those people don't end up working for us. So yeah, what is the most important thing for you when hiring new people? I guess the answer would be, are you somebody that wants to learn a lot? And when you get a problem, do you have a calm mind? And do you reason about the problem? And can you explain your reasoning? And can you actually not give up and solve it? For example, one developer once, it was a she actually, she wrote the entire algorithm, and I told her, you have an error in your code. And she started looking for the error. And I wanted to find out how long did it take for her to look for the error until she gave up. She actually looked for it for 18 minutes and she didn't find the error. And I didn't stop. I just literally let her continue. There was an error. It's not that I was making it up. There was a mistake. I actually told her eventually what it was, and she thought she was never going to be hired. But for me, she proved how resilient she was. And that's actually what I want. People that are willing to look for 18 minutes in complete silence for a problem. Where the hell is the bug? It was a missing punto comma. Where the hell is the problem? And like, do not get distracted by it. Do not give up. Don't say, oh yes, I don't know, maybe I'm not thinking about it. No, keep working at it. Keep thinking about it. So, and she was one of the best developers I've ever had. So yeah, that's what I look for.
The next one is from Marcelo Palladino. Impressive presentation, David. Thank you a lot. What is the method to prioritize incident management, but bug fixes and product log? Also, could you tell us what the current percentage of bug is?
Yeah. So, okay. That's actually good question. And the answer, the second question, I don't have the current percentage because this is how it works. Incident management, essentially, like there's no need to prioritize. If something is wrong, like we literally have a WhatsApp, because people in the hub always use WhatsApp. And if there's a problem, they will just take a picture and say, hey, there's a problem here. And we are always providing service for that. So what we try to do is like try to have like some sort of interruption shield. So if every team has somebody paying attention to the WhatsApp, being next to the computer, in case something happens. But of course, the idea is to not launch things during the weekend and so forth and so on. So incident management, like the method to prioritize incident management, maybe we're a small company, but we just basically, there's an incident, we just go ahead and solve it. But the good thing is that we know, since the product teams own their projects, own deployments, and they can own logs, own monitoring, and they also see and get direct access to the kitchen. If there's a problem, they have to fix it, nobody else, the people that are writing the code. Now, product backlog, how do we prioritize? Well, we use simple metrics. Like we use, we're asking the team, again, we have defined OKRs. So within the OKRs, they try to work out the different things they need to execute. But essentially, they use like the ICE framework. So essentially, it's like impact, cost, easiness. For Slack, we use this metric, these 4 metrics I described before. So it's like developer experience from 0 to 10. It's like basically like some sort of, for us, prioritization is a relative game. Like which are the most important things to work on? And again, the teams are autonomous. So it could easily happen that like they prioritized for sprint 3 to work on this feature, but in sprint 2, they saw a lot of problems in production with this supplier or whatever, and they realized, hey, sprint 2, we're going to have to change this, and we're going to have to focus on this again, and we're just going to have to do this. So I honestly, every team has a product owner. They make these decisions every week, every day. They talk to me for high-level guidance, but they already know their objectives, so I'm not going to be wondering about what exactly is the bug fixes or not. They just know what they have to do, and that's it, the results they have to deliver.
Okay.
Next question from Renato. What are the trade-offs between security, availability, customer satisfaction, and devs productivity?
It's actually a good question, yeah. So you can actually, if you don't really need to do trade-offs if you can go go ahead and estimate the impact on revenue. So for example, you know your company's availability, you know your company how much it sales per minute, for example. So you could actually estimate the cost of delay of not solving this bug that is causing this amount of downtime per week. So you can actually put a monetary value there. Security is tougher because you need to estimate the probability of an attack, and then you can estimate what is the potential risk. But you can also estimate, and again, it depends on the risk profile that you have as a company based on the data that you have. Developer productivity is also very interesting to calculate. You can actually estimate, so let's say, for example, developers are taking 1 hour per day. You can actually estimate ranges also. Like you can just send a survey to developers and say, like, guys, can you please estimate how long it takes for you to wait until the test pass? And they will literally give you a range between minimum and maximum. So you can find within the range, you can find just how much time they're wasting per week, per month. And you can literally multiply that by the amount of the average salary you're paying your developers. And that is literally the amount of money you're wasting on that process not working out. So if you map like security, uptime, cost, and developer productivity, all of those 4 criteria, you can actually, and you don't need to do anything complex. Like if you can calculate if you can calculate the cost of delay for each of those different features, you can immediately find which one works more. However, one thing you will find out is that if you, most likely, an impact on availability is almost always 100 times greater than any impact on developer experience. Maybe, because like just the amount of money that you're selling per hour, if it's a big problem, is way more than developer salaries. Maybe not. So also, what I like to do is I like to do like relative ordering. So within availability, I try to find like what are the top 3-4 problems and where the cost of delay is already low enough that it's comparable to other areas. Or sometimes I just mix and match. We're going to do 50% availability, 20% devs productivity, and so forth and so on. Again, and this is the important thing, if we create within Slack, we allow the teams to propose their own projects, I also create projects and I propose them, and I also work on some of them. And if the team is not investing in security and availability and customer satisfaction, they are also responsible. It's not just me. Of course, I am the ultimate responsible. But usually what you'll find is that the teams think very much along the same lines as you do. So if security is an issue, they will alert you more than you think. Availability as well, but you need to let them speak up. So that is why for us it's important that they create their own projects, and you'll be amazed at just how much they move in all directions like this, and you're not really making a lot of trade-offs. Usually you have to make a lot of trade-offs when you're the one thinking about all these different dimensions, and you're thinking about all the different things that the team has to develop, and that's when it gets really complicated.
The next one is from Josimar. What is the average size of a team working in a business feature solution? Dev, QA, PO, etc.
So we're a small team, but we have one PO, one designer, one tech lead. Those are the three key pillars for every team. And underneath or with them, you have between 1 to 2 front-end developers, 1 to 2 to 3 back-end developers. That's actually the overall size. So we're building those sort of team sizes. Oh, and we don't have QA yet. Maybe we'll need to get QA later. But for now, I hope developers start coding better and add more tests if they don't want to start servicing the kitchen.
Okay.
Great. Another one from Leandro Damascena. David, please leave an advice for leaders who don't guide their teams in search of inspiration and creativity. Tell them how they are living in another world.
Oof. Yeah, honestly, I gave up on that a long time ago. I think it's hard. Some people they don't see it this way, and that's it. So I'm sorry if that's your case, and if you have a leader that, you know what's the problem though? It's usually not just your leader's fault. It's usually your leader suffering the same thing from his leader, from his leader, from his leader. It's usually the complete organizational culture is not that one. And that is something else that I like about Mimic, is that I joined a company where the CEO is a very good friend of mine, and literally in terms of values, we are extremely aligned. So we've never had any discussion about any of these things. For him, it's obvious. He just wants to make the best possible company where people would love to work for us. And when you think that way, when the values, and my COO as well, he always tells me the reason why I joined this company is the values of you guys. So essentially, once you have those values in place, then the company starts showing this almost automatically. So yeah, I think so. Honestly, I feel sad. There's so many companies with broken cultures creating so much pain for a lot of employees, and it makes no sense. I would love to change it, and I hope this helps everybody start changing it slowly. And if you want, please tell your leader to make a call with me for 30 minutes, and I'll talk to him. I have no problem whatsoever. If you want.
Well, I believe we all appreciate that. So, okay, David. So we're calling to finishing your time with us. We want to say thank you very much. Balancing is highlighting some compliments that we want to share with you. First, Balancing.
David, we have so much compliments in our comments. So much thank you to give to us in our 50 event with the amazing content. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. No, I'm really happy, and congratulations on your 50 presentations. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Great, and we believe that that's the best gift that all of our community could have to you, speaking with us beyond your presentation, taking a little bit more time to speak with the whole community. Thank you very much. We hope to receive you again soon, okay?
Thank you, guys. Thank you, and sorry for talking about a lot of other things that are not tech related. I hope you guys liked it.
Oh, we love it. We love it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David. Bye-bye.
Thank you, David.
Ciao.
So much. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
galera, agora a gente se despede do David, mas tem lanche patrocinado pela Mimic. É importante ter aqui e reforçar o agradecimento, né, a todas as pessoas que tornaram esse meetup possível. Então, nós do User Group São Paulo, a gente quer agradecer a Ivone, Jackson, Jaqueline e ao Lucas por viabilizarem esse 50º aniversário brilhante, que superou as nossas expectativas. Foi um papo muito gostoso, um conteúdo muito bom. Eu vi a galera comentando aqui que vai assistir o vídeo da Talk 30 vezes, eu vou assistir uma 100. Vamos lá para o sorteio, galera?
Vamos lá, Van. Estão me escutando bem?
Sim, perfeito.
Tá bom, tá bom. Aqui para mim picota demais. Eu tenho que confessar para vocês, meu problema aqui é pandemia. Então assim, um filho meu tá no Discord com a turma do colégio, o outro tá no Discord com a turma da Federal e a internet para mim aqui, o roteador não separa nada para mim. Então picotou um pouco, por isso que eu resolvi ficar fora. Mas putz, que apresentação incrível, cara. Foi muito bom mesmo. Eu separei aqui, eu rodei lá no Handle.org. Então o balancinho, tá bom. Vamos lá, vou falar aqui os arrobas, tá bom? E aí, se a pessoa estiver aí, dá um alô, que a gente vai separando. @alimaonline. Tá por aí?
Adriano Lima.
A Lima Online,
E aí, será que foi embora, gente?
Então vamos lá, vou seguir, tá bom?
Tô aqui, acabou de responder, em caixa alta.
Opa, tá fechado, a gente te procura daqui a pouco. Patrícia I underline. Tá por aí a Patrícia?
Patrícia
I underline.
E é tanto presentear a mulherada hoje, gente.
Caramba, né? Vamos lá. Luiz Pimenta, 89.
Luiz. O lanche que não for sorteado fica com a gente? É uma pergunta. Deixa eu procurar o Lucas aqui.
Não? Renato Spaca.
Pô, Renatão, você tá aqui com a gente, né? Manda um salve aí no comentário. Renato. Não?
Renato tá?
Renato,
não?
Ele acabou de mandar uma mensagem. Ele não tá mais online? Respondeu. Renato, presente. Aê!
Opa, 2.
Quer sanduíche?
Foram. Muito bom, muito bom. Telmo.
Isso aí.
Telmo SJK.
A gente aqui tá mais rápido do que no YouTube, por isso que a galera demora um pouquinho para responder. O Telmo respondeu que tá aqui e a Patrícia Imada também respondeu.
Muito bem, ótimo. Então já foram quantos hambúrgueres?
Foram 4 até agora. Vamos lá. Raul Fernando 08.
Raul.
Vai de hambúrguer?
Raul respondeu. Raul Fernando.
Sensacional. 5.
Temos 5 lanches.
Luísa Brandi T.
Luísa.
Cadê?
Não?
Pô, Luísa, só porque eu ia pedir o boné emprestado para quando a gente for dar um rolê.
Aqui tem um velho conhecido nosso, homem de Las Vegas,
Opa.
F. Panhan.
Poxa,
tá por aí?
Que homem! Ele
Que homem!
Que homem!
Só falta não tá aí, hein?
O melhor é cara que cobria todos os desafios do User Group São Paulo para encontrar a galera lá em Las Vegas, hein? Sensacional.
Fabrício respondeu. Lembrando, a galera, que o lanche é para quem estiver na área de cobertura da Mimic, tá? que é aqui na região da Rebouças, Paulista, tem uma certa cobertura. Quem tiver mais afastado, a gente manda o boné, tá legal?
O Adriano falou que troca o boné, hein? Que ele troca o hambúrguer, ele prefere o boné.
Então a gente ajusta isso via DM, tá bom? Foi 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Vamos lá, faltam mais 4, pessoal. Bruno Dias FC.
Bruno.
Pessoal, enquanto a galera responde, a gente acompanha assim aqui nesse delay, né? De link. O Thelmo Santos está dizendo que mora em São José dos Campos. Ele quer saber se tem cobertura. Não tem cobertura para hambúrguer, mas tem para o boné, se sair, certo?
Com certeza.
Então é isso aí.
Bruno tá por aí? Não? Glauber DM.
Glauber.
Vamos para 1 ou 2 minutos de delay. Glauber.
Imagina a galera do outro lado. A gente fala, né? Aí fica. A gente podia botar notificações no próximo, né?
É como quando você assiste campeonato, que você tá vendo o jogo de futebol e no rádio tá mais rápido que na TV.
Ou pior.
E a galera tá gritando gol lá na TV, lá no rádio.
Bom, exatamente. Alguém grita gol no apartamento do lado, é aquela frustração. Tipo.
Não.
Mais algum nome?
Mas eu acho que o Glauber não respondeu, gente.
Tem um monte aqui, eu tô pulando. Michel RC Soares.
Michel.
Pô, a galera participou pra caramba dessa vez, foi bem legal.
Muito legal.
Nada, Michel.
Ah, Michel respondeu, eu aqui.
Michel respondeu, beleza, 7. Só faltam 3. Vamos lá.
E aí?
Francis 41 70 72 96.
Caraca.
Pois é. Francis 41
eu teria
70...
dito Francis e uns números aí.
Vou puxar um outro, tá bom? Romari Ricardo. Ou Romari Ricardo, não sei direito.
Francisco respondeu aqui, ó.
Francis, nada a ver.
Sensacional.
Parabéns aí pelo teu presente.
Faltam
2 hambúrgueres.
Vamos lá. Romario Ricardo, tá por aí?
Romário Ricardo, presente.
Muito bem.
Sensacional. E agora o último. A última pessoa, A2CDS, @A2CDS.
E aí, não? Acho que não, hein?
Não? Então, Glauber DM.
De novo?
Desculpa, eu falhei aqui. Desculpa.
Já.
Nanismo Land.
Calma. Antônio Carlos da Silva respondeu. Sou eu. Sou eu quem?
O A2CDS.
É o A2CDS.
Beleza.
Legal.
Ufa, fechamos os 10. Pessoal,
agora sim.
Se você ainda não seguiu lá o AWS UG Group São Paulo, siga agora, porque a única forma da gente entrar em contato, pegar endereço certinho, vai ser via DM, tá? Então a gente vai fazer isso na sequência aqui do término do encontro, tá bom? Vamos sortear o voucher da Web4?
Vamos, o Leandro falou que eu estou muito animada por causa dos hambúrgueres também, mas eu não estou em 50º aniversário e agora vem uma das melhores partes. Hambúrguer é muito gostoso, mas conhecimento também é gostoso demais, não é não, Diogo? Fala aí.
Galera,
e não engorda.
Na verdade, eu estava esperando o momento de eu falar que eu tenho uma notícia triste para vocês, que eu não vou mais sortear o curso da Web4, por quê? Depois da apresentação do David, não sobrou mais nada para ensinar.
Muito bom.
O cara arrebentou.
Cara, foi muito boa a apresentação. Muito boa
Legal,
mesmo.
né? Riquíssima. Pessoal, a gente não combinou se a pessoa pode ganhar hambúrguer e o curso. Porque
Ah,
acontece,
pode.
pode,
Ah,
né?
pode.
Mesmo
Se,
porque
se,
as coisas
se
são.
participou nos dois, vale.
Não, e são complementares, você precisa estar bem alimentado para aprender, né?
É verdade.
E eu pedi esse hambúrguer um dia, eu até falei pro Lucas lá da Mimic que é maravilhoso o hambúrguer. A batata ela vem super conservada na entrega, é muito bom, cara.
Não, legal. Nesses tempos que a gente tem que evitar, né? Exposição faz todo sentido. Legal. Quem não ganhou, peça amanhã, pô. Dá um up aí nos status dele, vai ver que divulgar conhecimento, fazer um branding da marca refletiu aí no consumo. Pessoal, acerca do curso da Webform, Ricardo Romário ou Romário Ricardo, eu já vi que você tá por aí, parabéns, cara. Ganhou o curso. Espero que você faça bom proveito. Se alimente bem,
Nossa,
estude bastante.
sensacional.
O Romário vai fazer alguns gols agora, cara.
Parabéns,
Sensacional.
Romário.
Manda um salve.
Bom. Galera, eu quero agradecer todo mundo. É nosso meetup de número 50. Parabéns. Muito obrigado. O conteúdo foi ótimo. Foi um presente do David pra gente, do David, do Lucas e da galera da Mimic. Muito bom.
Pô, a gente começou a falar desse encontro o quê?
Cara,
Bala, Vanessa, faz 1 mês e meio atrás que a gente está falando desse encontro.
Na verdade, teve uma primeira conversa que a gente teve com a Mimic lá no início do ano. E aí começou a pandemia. Lembra?
Verdade.
Foi.
E essas coisas acontecem assim, né, Bala? Então,
É.
esse foi bom pra caramba e agora tem o 51. E aí a gente fala o que vai rolar no 51 ou não?
Cara, eu acho que vai ser uma boa ideia. Me conta um pouco aí pra mim. O que vai rolar no 51?
Então é assim, cara. Assim, reservem a data, 14/7. O encontro vai acontecer às 6 horas da tarde, porque a pessoa que vai fazer o encontro está lá na Inglaterra, no Reino Unido. E aí a gente adequou para ficar no horário bom para ele, tá? É o Heitor Lessa, cara, é Principal de Serverless da AWS, brasileiro, Principal de Serverless na AWS. Ele tem uma história de vida muito legal. É um cara que, com 30 anos, ele era de infra e decidiu virar dev. E hoje ele é Principal da AWS. Ele vai contar um pouco dessa história, mas ele vai vir para falar do projeto open source dele, que está fazendo um sucesso danado, que ele liderou, que é o Serverless Power Tools, né? Acho que é Lambda Power Tools o nome, para Python. Então ele vai falar sobre boas práticas para serverless, tá? Usando ou não o Lambda Power Tools para Python. Vai ser no dia 14. Pô, a gente está muito animado com esse encontro. E para melhorar ainda, nós vamos fazer esse encontro com 3 comunidades da AWS, tá? A comunidade do Ceará, no mesmo esquema que nós fizemos o último, e a comunidade de Goiânia. Então vai ser um encontro triplo nas 3 comunidades. Pô, a gente está animadíssimo com isso, a gente vem falando disso, sei lá, há 4 semanas já. Então, salvem a data, dia 14. Eu sei que o Leandro está aí. Leandro, vem que o Heitor é fera demais. Pessoal que está aí, ainda não entrou nesse mundo serverless, tem uma apresentação que o Leandro fez no último encontro, que é uma apresentação perfeita, tecnicamente, com mais de 1 hora de perguntas e respostas, né, que a gente ficou falando, parecia um bar, né? Virou uma conversa de bar inacreditável, foi muito bom. Assista a palestra do Leandro e vem depois, agora dia 14, para ver a apresentação do Heitor, brasileiro, uma história de vida incrível, Principal da AWS, serverless. Cara, só salvem a data, né? Já estou ansioso desde já.
Cara, a gente
Date,
pode
galera.
explorar muita coisa, né? Carreira, conhecimento, serverless, experiência internacional, com certeza.
Ele falou isso. Ele falou, cara, o convite foi para ele falar sobre o Power Tools, né? O Lambda Power Tools.
Uhum.
E ele falou, cara, eu posso falar sobre qualquer coisa. Se vocês me fizerem perguntas sobre carreira, sobre cultura, sobre como trabalhar no exterior sendo brasileiro, sobre como mudar de carreira, né? O cara que saiu de infra. E ele tem uma thread no Twitter que ele conta um pouco dessa história dele. Recomendo vocês buscarem, né? E ele o tempo inteiro falando como ele se sentia assim... Não, mas eu não sou tão esperto para estar aqui, pô. Como é que eu vou virar engenheiro da AWS? Ah, mas eu não fiz ciências da computação, agora eu tenho que estudar algoritmo. E hoje o cara é principal da AWS Serverless, uma autoridade no mundo serverless, né? Quem acompanha sabe. E a gente vai estar muito feliz em recebê-lo aqui. E mais feliz ainda em fazer isso com o pessoal do Ceará e o pessoal de Goiânia. A gente está querendo muito fazer mais desses encontros, né? Porque a gente coloca mais gente na conversa. Você vê, a gente não conhecia o Leandro está aqui, a gente já está fazendo coisas juntos e vai se somando, né? Essa grande iniciativa que a gente tem, essa corrente, né? Quer falar alguma coisa, Diogo?
Não, eu só fiz o gestual porque um dia a gente vai pensar na coisa conforme você foi falando, somando aí as pessoas, as equipes, as comunidades, só de pensar a gente vai fazer um touch, vai conseguir somar o rostinho de todo mundo.
Cara, vai muito bom, quanto mais melhor. É isso, né?
É isso. 14. Dia 14 estaremos lá, no nosso próximo evento. Obrigado, galera. Se vocês gostaram do nosso conteúdo, curtam o nosso vídeo, compartilhem ele com seus amigos e assinem o canal.
Valeu, gente.
Obrigadão.
Um abração.
Valeu, um abraço.
Tchau, tchau.
Pessoal, tudo de bom. Boa noite. Até a próxima.